Hello everyone! Today I'll be showing you how to create your own custom text labels with the Cricut machine and Adobe Illustrator. I'll be making text labels by using adhesive vinyl and Cricut Maker to cut it. I wanted to make my space more organized, so I'll be marking my IKEA drawers. I will start my process in Adobe Illustrator. First, I create a new project. It doesn't really matter what kind of size I choose for the project right now, so I'll just select A4 size to continue. I continue by clicking on the text command on the left side of the menu, or press T on my keyboard. Then I just write down the text that I want to cut for my labels. In a previous video, I described what kind of files you need in order to use them with the Cricut, so if you want to know more about that, check out that video. I continue by choosing the font. For these kinds of labels, you just want to make sure that the letter shape you use will be simple enough for a Cricut to cut. Choose something that has clearly defined lines and you should be just fine. After you choose the font that you like, you need to convert the text into vector shape. After this step, you won't be able to change the font back anymore, so make sure you're happy with your choice. Just select everything, right-click on the selection and choose Create Outlines. Now you have the exact lines that the machine will later cut. You could also make some tiny changes to the shape of the letters at this point if you wanted to. I'm also making each of my lines a different color. That way, when I save the file as SVG and import it into Cricut Design Space, each color is already a separate layer and it's just a little easier to work with. Now you are ready to save your project as SVG and then continue your work in Cricut Design Space. Open up a new project and simply import the prepared file with the text for your labels. You could also have multiple SVG files that you can import, but this time I will only need the one that I just made. You can see that each of the colors are now separate groups in Design Space, so it's easier to edit them if I need to. I know that the height of my letters should be a maximum of 14 mm, so I will set the right size of the text in the height space in the top menu. Now they are set to the exact right size to cut. Then I just assign them all the basic cut setting and make them all the same color again to cut them on the same mat. If I try to make this project right now, you will notice that the program puts all of the letters completely jumbled onto the mat. That is why before we can actually cut, we also need to attach each of the text lines together. That way it knows we want certain lines to stick together. I just select each line and click on Attach or press Alt+A on my keyboard as a shortcut. And now it's finally time to actually cut. I'm going to be using simple matte adhesive vinyl for the labels. You could use the Cricut vinyl or any other brand that you like. I will also need transfer tape to carry my cut labels from the sticker paper to the surface where I want it to stick. For the transfer tape, I'm using the classic Cricut tape, since it's what I already have on hand. And for the vinyl, I have some regular black adhesive vinyl. I've had it for many years, so I don't really remember where I bought it. If I find the brand name, I will put the information below. And now, just put everything into the Cricut machine. I am using the Cricut Maker. If you want to see the step-by-step process of using the machine, check out my beginner tutorial in the description below. The cutting part takes some time. I don't need to do anything during the process, but I usually stay close by to intervene if anything goes wrong. Not to mention that it's still quite satisfying to see the actual cutting take place. On the edges of the vinyl, I just use bits of painter's tape to help it stick onto the mat and just make sure it doesn't move around during the whole process. I usually prepare the project in Design Space on my computer and then cut it using the app on my phone. You can actually use the groove on top of the Cricut Maker to put your phone or tablet on, so it's very handy. In the meantime, you can also use the computer to create the next project, so it's perfect for multitasking. After you're done cutting, there's a couple of steps left to do before you can apply the stickers to your surface. First, you need to remove the tape from the mat and then weed out everything that you don't want to transfer to your project. I'm using a weirdly curved and pointy tweezer tool. Cricut has plenty of weeding tools for this exact purpose. This step can be a bit cumbersome, but if you take it slowly and listen to some music or a podcast while you're doing it, it can become a kind of meditation. Just don't lose your patience. First, I'm just carefully taking out the smallest bits inside the lettuce, and after that I can remove the bigger vinyl piece surrounding everything else. I have to be careful to not remove it with any of the lettuce. It's a little extra challenging with the camera in the way, but eventually I managed to weed everything out. After you're done, you need the transfer tape. I use the smaller piece that fits onto my project. If I can, I actually try to reuse my transfer tape as long as it stays big and sticky enough to work. I actually have a scraper tool with a bit of felt on the end that I use to smooth everything out. The tape needs to stick to every bit of the vinyl so that it removes everything from the Cricut mat at once. So I just go over it a couple of times and it works perfectly. Now remove everything from the mat and cut it into separate labels if you have more than just one. I'm using a ruler with a rounded blade attached since it really is the quickest way. And that's it! Now you're finally ready to use the labels. Just remove the transparent foil layer and stick the label to a desired surface. This time I am actually customizing my IKEA drawers that I use to store my materials and tools. There are several options that I could choose to position the labels: the front, the top, left, right, the middle, anywhere. I choose to put it on the top edge just to keep it very discreet. Carefully position the text and make sure it's really stuck on there. Then just remove the top transparent layer while leaving the vinyl stuck onto the surface. This is definitely the most satisfying part of the whole project. And you're done! There are plenty of options to use these custom labels for. You can leave your ideas in the comments below. So, till next time, be creative!